Alright guys, happy Turkey Day. I was gonna take a walk, but it's too cold for my Italian butt, so I'm back home. We'll get started here in just a moment. Again, happy Thanksgiving. And if you haven't already, check out my dad's award-winning movie, The Value of Life, now streaming for a limited time on Amazon. You can check out the link below or just search The Value of Life is the title of the movie. And I hope it'll give you good vibes this holiday season. We need it. All right, give me a minute here and we'll get started. Alright, so for tonight I'm streaming from Linux Mint no Ubuntu. I just don't trust Ubuntu with Wayland. You know, it's bad when you have an operating system in today's world and a simple web browser freezes the entire system, all because of Wayland. But we'll talk about that here in a moment. Alright, so what I'll do with this, I'll go through just a few Linux predictions, both good and bad. And then I'll jump in the chat, see if anybody's there. Okay, Linux predictions for next year. Well, I think gaming will continue to grow in Linux, get better, become more popular. I've seen some reports that look promising, and look, Windows is still the king when it comes to games, I get it. But maybe not so much come next year. I don't have the percentages in front of me. But I think the last I checked, Windows still controls like 90% plus for gaming. I get it, but my prediction is that that percentage will drop for Windows and increase for Linux starting next year. So if you like the game, I think you will have less issues with specific forms of Linux-based systems if you like the game. That's one of my predictions. In other predictions, I think Chromebooks will continue to grow and sell quite nicely. I had a friend of mine, she has a kid in college, or sorry, not in college, young child rather, and she asked advice about buying a Chromebook. I said, her name is Tiffany, I don't think she'll care. I said, look, any new Chromebook today will run perfectly. Now, when's the last time you promised someone that a Linux machine will run perfectly? Only with the Chromebook. Linux has come a long way, my friends, and is still the only, well, global Linux standard, not just for beginners, but for everyone. So I'm sure her kid will enjoy the new Chromebook. I took a look at it. I forget which model it was. Less than $200, but as you know, all new Chromebooks will give you 10 years of support. And keep in mind that Chromebooks are the only Linux machine to outsell Macs. Now, this happened during the pandemic. It only happened once, but it happened. That was the year of the Linux desktop, and we may not see that feat repeated. I hope we do. Preferably with a different Linux machine. But hey, you never know, right? Okay, so that's the good part of Linux. What about the bad? Well, as I mentioned before, Wayland. I know we like to trash Windows, even though Windows 11 works fine for me. But I like to be fair. Yes, we can appropriately trash Windows for some of their dumb decisions. It's more the politics and the operating system itself. But as I said before, when you have an operating system freezing up the entire Linux OS, that's bad. And all because of Wayland. Can you imagine if this happened in Windows? Would we be understanding and loving? Right? If you want to be fair about it. Anyway, so Wayland will continue to be a problem. I wish we had something better. Wayland is almost 20 years old. Are you kidding me? All right. Another problem that will still continue next year is fragmentation. We don't really have a computer store here. We have an Office Max, but they don't have a lot of computers. The closest computer store is 30 miles away at a Best Buy. But the local Walmart sells computers, and they have 8 different choices for Chromebooks. 8 of them. 8. Linux has come a long way, as I said. I wish we had more choices. But because of fragmentation, that's all I'm going to get when it comes to buying a Linux-powered machine in the store. There's nothing wrong with that, but it would have been nice to see a Linux Mint machine. Heck, at this point, even an Arch-powered machine, if it ran perfectly, I would check out and buy it at Walmart. But fragmentation, as Linus Torvalds once said, of course, the father of Linux, that is the #1 problem for Linux. It's good to have choices. That's the plus. That's also the bad. So Wayland and fragmentation will continue to be issues next year. For Linux, on the bright side, if you are a Windows user, you don't have to search all 1,000 choices for Linux-based systems. Stick with your Zorin OS, your Linux Mint, or a Chromebook. If you never ever want to use the terminal, get a Chromebook. So those are just a few Linux predictions for next year. Okay, let's see here. Checking my messages. I think we're all good. Might be getting a call from New York. Nothing yet. All right, let me see if anybody's in the chat. I'm sorry this was a last-minute live show. Again, it's just too cold tonight for me to go for a walk. I like taking a walk at night. It's very peaceful. All right, who is in the chat? Of course. Cody is in the chat. What's up, mate? Yes, happy holidays. Linux prediction. Nothing, to be honest. Okay. Wayland is going to be the standard. But the standard for what? Oh, man. Your prediction for you, going to use Fedora. Okay. Chromebooks will be Android-based. That may be a possibility. Chromebook won't be Linux anymore. Well, it doesn't matter if they use all Android. Android is a form of Linux, right? Yes, you mentioned the Steam Deck. Yeah, I guess it's making a comeback of sorts. I don't have one personally. I have no use for it. One of these days I need to really buy a newer computer. I've been very lucky. Linux has been able to squeeze out all of the horsepower I can with these older machines. Again, almost everything I have is at least 10 years old. And I'm grateful that both Windows 11 and Linux have able to extend the life usage of these machines. But at some point, you can only squeeze out so much horsepower out of a Fred Flintstone device, as it were. But hey, if my machines fail, I can always go to my Chromebook, right? I think that gets another official support for another 3 years or so. So there's always that to rely on, Cody. You love your Steam Deck, you could get a Steam machine that's coming out next year, which is Valve brand computer. Now, if I get a computer, it'll be like a Dell or an HP with a 5000 series graphics card with Windows 11, and then I'll just dual boot with Linux Mint or Zorin or Chrome OS Flex. So. But yeah, right now Chromebooks are the only global Linux standard for quality. That's it. So unless there's a Steam Chromebook deck, I ain't buying it. But Chromebooks, and I mean, Steam Decks are another choice. And if it works for you, go for it. Curious to see after Black Friday, the hot Friday or the hot weekend for sales, what the sales will be for computers in general, especially with all of the tariffs kicking in and all that. I like ThinkPads also, Code. I have a ThinkPad T480 with Windows 11. These machines, ThinkPads are like Lexus cars. They just keep going and going and going and never stop. Yeah. Nice price on that ThinkPad. Originally a grand, you got it for $680. Very good. Yeah, ThinkPads play very well with Linux. They really are the perfect marriage. It's probably the only perfect marriage here in the US of A. ThinkPad and Linux. Anyway, yeah, I have a ThinkPad. ThinkPads, they're great. But next year I'll probably look into like a Dell or an HP, like a Ryzen 7, something like that, with NVIDIA graphics. All right, so you bought a Lenovo Yoga 2-in-1. That's what I have, yes. If there is anybody new watching and you have a question or would like to say hello, please do. I do these live shows at different times when I have time. I would like to get newer people stop in just to say hello. You don't have to give your real name if you don't want to, but I love reaching out to people, and if I can help someone, why not? When I started out with Linux, there was not that much help 20 years ago. So I totally get it. If you are having issues, try to use a form of Linux. So if you are new, please do say hi. Yeah, I have a 2-in-1. I don't really use it that much. My Chromebook is a touchscreen, and it unfolds into a tablet. But who's going to use like a 13, 14-inch tablet? I mean, it's yeah, really big, right? Yeah. Checking out the OBS Studio stats, 0.2% drop skip frames. Not bad. This particular machine is a Lenovo, Cody, from 2011. Originally had Windows 7. Yeah, that Windows 7. I'm using this one tonight. Still works with Linux Mint, the Mate edition. Not in 4K. This processor will not handle 4K, but don't really need 4K for doing podcast streaming like this, so. Yeah, I don't mind using Windows. Like I said, for me it works. I haven't had none of the issues that other people have, but then again, I did a fresh install of Windows 11, debloated it, and it's perfectly fine. In fact, on this machine, Windows 11 ran better, faster than Ubuntu. Now maybe that has to do with Wayland, I'm not sure. Yeah, you fold it halfway so you could put it on a table and play your guitar looking at the chords. Aha. Okay. I don't have Pro Edition Windows 11, not that I need it. Again, I don't use Windows that much. I'm happy using my Linux Mint, my Chromebook, Ubuntu for testing. I just wish Ubuntu was not Wayland only. I think that's going to be a lot of problems for people who are trying to revive older machines, and they are going to be given very bad advice. When somebody says on that 10-year-old PC or 5-year-old PC, use the latest Ubuntu with Wayland. Yeah, it's not going to be fun, my guess. All right, I'm going to wrap this up here in a couple minutes. Have some wine and relax for the rest of the evening. I think maybe I'll tune into the Hallmark channel tonight. I'm a sucker for those kinds of movies. What can I say? Italians, romance, they go together like Italians and wine, right? Yes, Cody, thank you for asking. I'm not a turkey person, but my Thanksgiving meal was ham, chicken, green beans, potatoes. Yeah, it was very good, very tasty. I use an air fryer, which is great, by the way. Less messy, no oil. And I had some roasted peppers, too. So it was all good. Thank you for asking. What about you? Okay, so you had a dual meal today. Breakfast at Dad's, then Thanksgiving lunch at Uncle's. Very good. Yeah, I couldn't do dinner with Dad. He's 5,000 miles away in Italy. They don't really do yeah, they don't really have a Thanksgiving version that I'm aware of. They're overseas, so except when they drink wine, then they call it winesgiving. Oh, you're at work. Oh no. Yeah, I have a cousin who's a nurse up in Pittsburgh, and she had to go to work last night at 11, working a 12-hour shift. So yeah, we'll have Thanksgiving. Yeah. Hey, that's what I'm here for. You see what I'm saying? Yes. Godfather Toss, I always show respect to my friends. Okay. Well, Cody, I think I'm going to wrap this up for tonight. Have some of my red wine that's staring me in the face here next to my desk. So, I'm going to have some wine. The Cowboys game should be wrapping up by now. Maybe it's finished by now. Watch that, see what's on Hallmark, and I'll call it a night. So, Cody, thank you for stopping by. Catch you on the next one. For those of you that I missed, sorry I missed it. You guys know how to reach me. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Give me your predictions. Let me know what you think. And the person with the most correct predictions will get a prize. And Cody will let you know what that prize is next year. Haha. Arrivederci, my friends. Bye, Cody. Ciao.